wlfe-db.com, where you can find vodcast shows, podcasts, and more. Check out wlfe-db.com, where talk radio is a whole lot better. Our shows are your shows, and that there makes for a great talk radio. Like and follow us on Facebook at WLFE DB Radio.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
All right, everybody, welcome to another show here for Paratalkradio. Cindy is still having problems with her computer and getting on. We had this problem with her last week where her computer is having a hard time getting on. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure she'll be here. And you guys, I am like really, really excited about tonight's interview. She's an amazing individual. And I just talked with her briefly in the green room, and I'm ecstatic about that she's here. It's just fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Real quick, I don't know if you got to see Saturday night. We did our Godzilla versus Kong review on the movie. Yes, I've seen that movie 4 times. Yes, I'm a Godzilla junkie. You know that by looking behind me. There's a ton of Godzilla stuff behind me. Guys, I was trying to put a value on this stuff, and after like $2,500, I stopped counting. I just got too much stuff here. That's all there is to it. I don't collect anything else, just this stuff. So let's just get to this real quick and say hi to Christine Holmes, Bob Burnell, Chanel Fletcher. Hello, Chanel. Patricia. Hello. Mom Santasario. There's Dominic, the son, Santasario. Barry Martz. Hello, hello, hello. Karen Smith. Hello. Michelle Millens. I love this. It's already started. She is an amazing woman. I am so excited. That is so cool. She's in the back room smiling. She likes it too. I'm Mr. Tom Nally. Hello, hello, hello. So, what I like to do when we have a guest is I really like to, read a little bit of their bio for you and, just give you a little bit of information on them if you don't know who they are. And Michelle is one of those people that I think you have to be living in a cave if you don't know who she is. Just joking, you know me. She is mostly wide recognized for her television work on Paranormal State. So if you guys remember that was with the college, which was, I think it was one of the very first shows that was on TV, as well as like Ghost Hunters. It's one of those other it was a long rating show that it was there for a long time. Paranormal State, they explored the abandoned buildings, old houses, and stuff like that. But she likes to say, and she's got it here in her bio, that I'll just read it for you. She says, exploring abandoned prisons and haunted houses while blindfolded and in high heels. Well, that's awesome. But high heels, girl, I'm surprised you didn't break an ankle. She's a leading authority on psychic and supernatural topics. Michelle's nonfiction research in books like The Dictionary of Demons and the Psychic Vampire Codex. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking today already. My gosh. It has been a source in television shows, university courses, and numerous publications around the world. She has worked as a media liaison for fringe communities, lectured on vampires at colleges around North America, performed with gothic and metal bands, which I definitely want to get to with that because I think that's awesome, including Nox Arcana. I believe that's how it's stated. I hear Cindy, she's in the background, and designed immersive live-action RPGs for companies such as Wizards of the Coast. Her research on the Watcher Angels led to the creation of the tarot deck and the album Blood of Angels. She has appeared on CNN, A&E, Fox News, Reelz, and the History Channel, and I'm sure a whole bunch more. She resides in Ohio, and now that Cindy is back in the back room, bring her up real quick.
Hi, everybody.
You and those computers, girl. I think it's your energy. I think it's like saying, nope, I don't want to work today.
Dude, it is so crazy. I can't even with it. I don't even want to talk about it because I had my hair up and I had to just pull it down again.
I love when you have your hair like that. It reminds me of I Dream of Jeannie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what it reminds me of. Yes, Michelle's in the back going.
It does. It reminds me too, but it's just so fun. But it's easy, and I can pull it up and. But I had it in a bun while I was trying to do this, and I'm mashing away. And I didn't have to on. I'm like,
well, you know what? She's been sitting back there for a while, so let's bring her in. Are you ready? I'm ready. All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
Go.
There she is.
Hi, Michelle. How are you? Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Oh, this is exciting for me. I just think this is fantastic. And she's another colleague that's been in the paranormal field and so much more. I mean, she is so diverse. Yeah, what were you saying, Cindy? I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I just said for a while. Yeah, she's been in the paranormal for a while. I remember watching you.
Yep, Paranormal State. We had 3.5 million viewers at some point. It was just completely unreal.
Wow.
So weird.
It was awesome. Listen, it was one of my favorite shows back in the day. I remember it was so much fun. But I loved you being on there. And so it was fun because, it was the first time that Ghost Hunters had where they would have, when they first originated, they had a medium on there and then a witch, and they kind of got rid of them quickly within that first season, if I'm not mistaken. And then I remember you guys coming on with Paranormal State, and it was fantastic. That was I'm like, oh my gosh, I understand this.
Yeah. I mean, part of it was also making sure that a lot of different belief systems and practices were represented on the team.
Oh,
and some folks on the team weren't quite as comfortable being really out and loud about it. I mean, Ilfie Music has this amazing and fantastic family lineage of they call her a Wiccan on the show, but she's actually she's raised in Thelema. Her father and her mother and that whole system is just, they didn't expect the audience to understand that a whole lot, even though they've got her doing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram in the middle of a lake at one point.
Oh my gosh, some of those were crazy and amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're doing rituals on the show.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that I just because you weren't seeing it, and it was awesome. It was so awesome to watch and to behold, right?
I want to, before we get into Chanel must be a really big fan of yours, Michelle.
Oh yeah.
She says here, she says, I have all her books and love her demon dictionary.
Well, hello and thank you, Chanel. I hope I have given you many hours of reading pleasure, as well as lots of neat stuff to like go digging in terms of like research rabbit holes, because like that's one of my aims with books like the Dictionary of Demons. Like, here, have all this cool stuff and a bibliography that goes on for 15 pages.
Michelle has a very big bio here. I've seen her on a lot of paranormal shows, and she is amazing on her findings.
Yeah,
you got some love coming in here, girl.
I have to tell you, Michelle, you look fantastic, by the way.
Hey, I'm 48 this year, but can't
you look
really
great.
complain. Like, life is treating me pretty well.
Hey, Cindy just celebrated 50.
Yeah,
I did.
I'm getting there. I'm almost there.
Sunday, I turned 50 yesterday.
Well, we won't talk about how old I am. You know,
yeah,
we won't talk about the old farts over here. You know,
not at all.
54.
He's only 4 years older than me.
Only as old as your joints feel.
Exactly. That's
then I'm 80.
No.
Oh, that damn chair. Well, there's just sometimes I'm telling you. I mean, it's true. The older we get, the more little like creaks and pains and those things that we have never noticed before just pop up, and they're like, "Oh, where did that come from? Am I dying? What's going on?" Don't spit, Cindy. Don't spit.
I do not want to get it all over my laptop, for real. Then I definitely would have more problems with it. It's a new computer. That's what's driving me crazy.
Yeah. Mr. Robert White from Australia is here right now, and he says the rabbit hole turns into a kangaroo exit hole down here, or down this way.
So funny.
And just so you know, Michelle, Robert is a jokester. He likes to make things funny. So he is.
We have fun.
He's amazing. So
I'm fine with that.
Did you go through and say hi to everybody, Teddy?
Yes, I did. I did not say. Well, you can get from like. Well, do it real quick if you want to, because there's a few of them in there that I did miss. So feel free. Okay. I'm sure Michelle won't mind for a second while you do that.
No, don't mind at all.
Hi, Kristen. Hi, Bob. Hi, Chanel. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Dom. Hi, Barry. Hi, Karen. Hi, Michelle. Oh, yes. Hey, Tom. Hey, Robert. I live in a cave, then giggles. Who knew? Karen Smith. Like, wait, what? Oh, that's so funny. Oh, shoot. So it just led ahead while I was doing it. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's...
Wow, there's even a question in here already.
Yes, they are ready for us. They are ready. Hi, Steve Barry. How are you? Listen, people like to tease me. I'm letting you know that right now, Michelle. They tease me a lot.
They tease her a lot.
Okay, I think we're all caught up. Thanks, you guys.
Okay, so I'm going to put this up here first. Karen Smith, Demon Dictionary. We have a few here in Australia. Have you found different countries have different names for their entities?
Yes.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, it's actually a heck of a research rabbit hole. If I wanted to make something that was like that covered every country and every culture, I'd have like
kind of worldly
volume. Yeah, I'd have a 15-volume set. When I set out to do the Dictionary of Demons, I had to be incredibly narrow, and I still ended up with 1,500 names.
Wow!
And that's mainly from the literature of Western Europe between about 1200 to 1900, give or take, with, of course, like the biblical antecedents explained. And there's so much more material that's constantly coming up. Like it's pretty intense.
I can't imagine. Now, I'm going to ask, I mean, this is my question, and we'll get back to another question that's in there. Did you study theology at all?
Yes. What doesn't usually make it into my bio is I have a degree in comparative religious studies, and I took demonology from Jesuits.
There you go.
So I was National Merit Scholar. So the degrees in comparative religious studies with a concentration in psychology of religion. The psychology has always come in really handy for investigations, assessing like people's experiences,
right?
Assessing potential cases of possession too, because there's always kind of this very wibbly space to navigate between, is it trauma, is it a demon, like what's going on?
Yeah.
Mm.
I studied theology myself. I became ordained in '93, but there's a lot of things that, for me, the crossover with all the religions, and if you really get into the mythology of all these religions as well, there is some stuff in there that the general public knows
Mm.
nothing about. And
Yeah.
it really, if everybody had the same knowledge, could you imagine where we would be right now?
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
we're just the same access to it. Like,
Yeah.
there's stuff that, like, I had a friend who was in, I think, Harvard Divinity, and he'd been in Yale beforehand. And, there's all the cuneiform tablets, because if you go back far enough, a number of the books of the Bible are mysteriously similar to things from Sumer and Babylon, especially like the flood story and stuff like that. But there were like whole sections that they were just not allowed to translate or deal with, because it really raised questions that they didn't feel people were ready for.
Right.
Which,
But that's pretty much like everything else in the world, from UFOs to everything else in the paranormal. I mean, so much is hidden from us in the
Mhm.
public eye that, well, real quick, I don't want to make this a big discussion, but we just came off of a month of UFO research and abductions and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
the amount of stuff that is hidden there
Mhm.
is amazing. And the main quote from the government is, "We're not ready."
Yeah. No, I had
Right.
an uncle. I had an uncle who was a Vietnam vet. He was an airman.
Mhm.
And he had a high enough security clearance that when he married into the family, we all had to be investigated by the FBI, which was
Oh
real
my
funky.
gosh.
I mean, I was teeny. I was like, 4 or 5 when all of that went down.
Thank God, right?
And he would, yeah, seriously, like, if they caught me
Wow.
by the time I was 10, and heaven help me if the internet had been invented, the kind of like stuff that I was researching at that point was certainly to pop hot.
Right.
But like, he would take me UFO hunting and like UFO watching late at night.
Wow.
He 100% believed in stuff. I do not know precisely what his connection was to Project Blue Book, but he talked about it extensively.
Wow.
And had like this really nifty like little black box that his wife forbade him. My aunt forbade him for having in the house after a while, because I guess it was tuned to a certain set of electromagnetic frequencies that whoever was doing the research behind the scenes had connected to UFO flaps. So like, if these certain frequencies popped hot, you could pretty much guarantee that there was going to be some sort of phenomena. Like, what that actually meant, I don't
Wow.
know. But so,
Wow.
and you could make it so it had an alarm. So like, wherever in the house, you're like, hey, go outside and look at the sky, because something might be going on.
Right.
Wow.
Or it just like had a little red flashing light, and it just wigged my aunt out. So it was like, tucked in a corner of his man cave.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to know if there were.
Yeah. Well,
That's-
before this question gets lost
sorry.
on me here. No, you're good. But before the question gets lost on me, because they're putting in so many comments here,
They
it might
are.
get lost.
They're talking so quickly.
Okay, it says, quick question for Michelle. Are you related to Jeff Belanger?
We get this one asked all the time. And if you catch us on a silly day, we will say that we are brother, sister, cousin wives. But the fact of the matter is we're both Acadian French descent from a similar area. And Acadian French is a fairly small ethnicity. So we are not directly related beyond having like way, way distant ancestors possibly in common. But otherwise, nope. Although it's funny to joke about.
Oh, that's so
Nice.
funny.
That's great. Over on my watch party, because I got that going as well, Miss
I know,
Robin
I'm trying to
Kale.
get mine too.
Okay, Robin Kale is joining us here, and she is from Ohio, and she says, Michelle, she does know her stuff, guys.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Back up in here. I have questions too, guys. But we're going to get to yours first. We're going to go to theirs first, because this is a big deal for us tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, they will.
We've got 2 hours. It's all good.
I like what Steve Berry had said. How can you tell it's just different names, not entities?
Well, first, what I have to say is, for the Dictionary of Demons, I lean into the scholarly aspect of things, like the folklore. So the whole point of that book is what do people believe, what's been written down, what's been handed down to us, without really delving into, are these things real? It's more, this is what this religious tradition believes, this is what's been written, and like, let me just get all of this information gathered from Latin texts and, you know, French and Italian, and just kind of throw it all together and let anybody else having access to that book make their decisions on like whether or not they believe in these things theologically. That said, as someone who is also an investigator and an experiencer, it's a lot more complex than like picking a name off of the book and going, this thing definitely exists exactly as this. It's first, I will say that in paranormal television, the word demon is thrown around a little too freely.
I was going to ask you that.
we agree 100%.
A little too freely. It is complicated by the fact that we sort of like backtrack, like project the definition of demon backwards through the past. I was actually just writing an article about this today, where, you know, the word demon comes from Greek, and the Greek idea of demon or daemon was more kind of what we would think of as a spirit guide now. Like, it was something that wasn't human, but wasn't one of the gods, and sort of like occupied a space between. And most of them were tutelary spirits. Most of them guided people in a positive way. Socrates had a personal demon. He thought very highly of his personal demon, attributed a lot of his knowledge to his demon. And there were some that were assholes. And those were kakodaimonas. They were less about being pure evil and more about being kind of agents of chaos. So like, if you have like your good demon whispering in your ear and telling you nice and productive things to do with your life, you've got your chaos demon whispering in your ear and getting you into shit.
Got it. I know some people that listen to that one much more often.
Well, when all the whole Christianity thing happened and a lot of the scriptures were written in Greek, they used that word to pretty much categorically talk about the concept of like the sons of darkness, these demons that are definitely minions of the dark side, all, you know, working against God and Christ and all of that. So that word kind of got cemented in our culture as they're connected to damnation, redemption, hell, Satan, all of that.
Right.
But then when we're translating things like the demonology of the Sumerians and Babylonians, even Jewish demonology, which is a little bit different, we kind of use that one word because it's the one that we've got. We chunk it onto a bunch of things that are very different. So like, the more you dig, the more you find that nothing is as solid as you would like it to be. It's not a simple discipline.
So do you find that as you have done your research that demons would be, so I think we, in this Western society, as we have Christianity thrown down our throats, right? You know, they've categorized that all demons are evil and bad and they're the devils. Would you classify them as that way? Because just listening that Socrates had his own demon, that it doesn't seem to me, because it doesn't seem that everything would be evil, right?
I'd like to throw in on this if I could.
Yeah. Oh yeah, please.
I know this from my research and my studying, because I love mythology more than anything. I mean, I love that stuff. And it's, you know, if you were living back in those days, all the stuff that they were dealing with, that you hear about or read about, that was normal life for them. It wasn't anything different. For us in this day and age, especially through faith, you take somebody's story and you kind of put it in a bowl and mash it around, and whatever comes up, that's what it is. And then you spurt out that story, and people start thinking, oh, well, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. And sometimes what happens is it's nonsense. It's not real truth. It's just the way it's interpreted by the person that is listening to the story. And some, you know, what they say, you know, loose lips sink ships. And that's what happens, you know, and that's what happened to a lot of our history, is things that were good for them. In some of our history, somehow that got turned around to where it was bad. And, you know, I'm trying to put that as in layman terms as I can so that you guys understand what we're talking about here. That it's just somebody saying something, and just because they don't believe it, or, you know, they have a hard time with it, they make it bad, and then it's out there and everybody starts jumping on the bandwagon. That's how life is, though. It really is.
When we're talking about like the historical stuff, like the first thing you have to ask yourself is like, what do they mean when they're using the word demon? Because like one complication is one culture's demon is another culture's god.
Right.
And usually when you had like competing religious systems, the easiest way to kind of beat the other guy's religion was to demonize their god. And so you have the Greek Typhon, you've got Egyptian Set, you've got Pan.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Kronos, like they've all lent qualities to the modern idea of Satan because they were competing things. And so the easiest thing, Loki too, like they all had to be the bad guy to sort of crush those. Because I mean, something that I think we sort of lose track of is, you know, the Romans are the bad guys in the Christ narrative for Easter and everything. But once the Romans flip to Christianity, they pretty much just colonize everywhere they go, and they force that religion on everyone. And they use the old tactics that they had, which is if you can't get the people to abandon their previous religion, you either make all of their gods demons, or you just sort of subsume their gods into your god and say, yeah, Zeus, yeah, he's Jupiter, yeah, they're all the same thing. But when you've only got one god, the best you can do is make saints out of everybody, or make demons out of them. Like one or the other.
Yep.
So it's a lot more complicated. Now, I will say that in the field, because language is useful, we kind of agree on broadly, a demon is a non-human spirit that's malevolent. So when I'm working in the field, and I've sat in on exorcisms, I've participated in investigations where I'm like, I don't know what else to call this. I've got a very clear checklist. And this is sort of like my personal, like, I don't know what else to call it beyond. And is it non-human, like demonstrably? This is not like Uncle Ted who just had a really bad day and he's still a dick. Thanks,
Michelle. Love you too.
That's funny. Right.
But we get it. Yeah. That's great. I love it. Go ahead. We're good.
A little levity, because people get like really, really bent out of shape with the whole demon thing. Like, and I want people to like humor. I will say this for absolute truth. Even when you're dealing with the real things, one thing they fucking can't deal with is humor. Like, if you laugh at them, they cannot deal with that. So anyway,
that makes sense.
You will find me using humor to diffuse it for a lot of reasons. So, not human, intelligent, and actually kind of hyper intelligent in a way that makes you think that this is something not only like smart, but like evil genius level of smart. Like it operates in a kind of psychology that is hard to understand. There's an alien quality to its intelligence.
Sneaky as shit.
Malevolent, like actively not misunderstood, not trying so hard to communicate that it's just bowling people over and freaking them out, but like actively dedicated to causing harm. And then the final one is fixated on people. Like fucking with people is a big part of the drive for whatever reason. And I've got theories, but pretty much that checklist for me, human, intelligent, malevolent, fixated on human, is when I'm like, well, this is the word that we have. What you want to interpret that theologically is up to everything. I mean, I'm pagan. So it's not like I think that this is necessarily something that's, languishing in hell and trying to steal people's souls.
Right.
But there's definitely some class of beings that these myths have grown up around. And they're certainly much, much older than Islam, than Christianity, than Judaism. Goes pretty much all the way back to the oldest written languages that we know of in the Western world.
And beyond. I mean, think about the very first indigenous people over in Europe. I mean, we talked about this, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, where, they believed, living in caves, that the only way they were going to get meat to survive was to dress up like the animals they were going to kill. And some of them had horns, I mean, so they may not have been a written language, but we know by their cave drawings and stuff that they had that, hey, that's their story,
Yeah.
right there.
Or
So it started. Yeah.
Yeah, the glyphs at Göbekli Tepe, which
Yeah. I have got a ton of questions. I got a ton of questions. All right, so I'm gonna eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, so we'll go over here for a second because they're being patient over here. I just see Michelle just waving her hands over here in the watch party. It's like 3 seconds behind. It's funny. She says this is from Robin Kale, and it's going to be up to you whether you want to answer this or not. This is a little personal for her. Okay. She says my mom killed herself, and I think she's stuck in my home that she did it in. What do you think? She goes, all my family was very close, but close family, but gone, and have spoke with all of them but her. And she does the ITC communications, but her mother never came through. What is your take on something like that?
I mean, I'm always hesitant to diagnose a haunting from a distance,
right?
For a number of reasons. But what I would say generally in the case of suicides is a person who commits suicide has gone through some stuff. There's usually like a lot of depression, a lot of things that lead up to it, and a lot of just psychological pain and trauma. And that doesn't stop. And so they're still trying to sort that stuff out. Honestly, I think that the best thing that you could do if you feel that she's still there, and if you feel that she hasn't gotten to a point where she can reach out yet, is to either, like, as kindly and as compassionately as you can, communicate supportively to her, like help her work through that pain. And sometimes it kind of feels really weird to just be talking to the air. So what I almost always recommend to people is a really ancient tradition of writing a letter to the dead. We've got fantastic examples of these in ancient Egyptian literature, where, like, if you're having a problem with a spirit, if they died before you could sort out an issue, if you just need to get something off your chest, if you want to be supportive, the act of writing helps us really kind of focus our thoughts. And, it's not like they need to have it in the written word. It's the intent is enough, but the act of writing it and creating a letter and creating a thing, and sometimes reading that back over, helps us focus in a way that is easier for them to be communicated with. So that's what I'd recommend.
So did you want to throw any? Okay, did you want to throw anything in there?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, so the thing is I wouldn't want to necessarily state whether or not that she's being haunted by her mother or not. I mean, it would be, I would go with her to I would have her tune into her own intuition and ask what she feels first and foremost. The thing is, Western society likes to call it haunting, quote unquote, but it's sometimes just your family trying to get a message to you and sending love to you and letting them know that they're okay, or just trying to let you know that they're still there. It doesn't necessarily mean, I don't think, that she hasn't moved on, or that she's stuck in a place of harsh,
I'm glad you're saying that, because I'm sorry to interrupt, Cindy, because she just put in here, she goes, well, my thing is, if she is, I want to get her released.
Yeah, and the thing is I don't always. So I've dealt with a lot of suicide spirits, right? A lot of times after the fact, spirit is the one who told me about the oh shit factor. They literally are the ones that said, listen, there was a moment that, all of a sudden after I had already done it, they're like, oh shit, I could have fixed everything, but it's too late now. Now I have to do my lessons that I need to go through and heal myself so that I can go on. Some choose to stay where they are and apologize for, decades seemingly. And there are others that go right over immediately to the other side. Because they're willing to rectify in their minds what they've done, right? And I'm not saying that they haven't done it if they've chosen to stay. I'm just saying that some don't understand because of religious upbringing that they have that option to move on, because religious texts have told them you're going to hell, purgatory, you're going to burn, you're not going to be able to see all the people that are loved because you've killed yourself, you've committed suicide, you've done this horrible act upon yourself. And that's not the truth of the matter. They can move on if they so desire, even if they've had those religious upbringings.
Yeah, and
most
of the complications end up being how they're emotionally entangled with people. At which point, like, the easiest thing is to, like, just let them know, I'm okay. I feel bad for you. Like, is there anything I can do for you?
Right.
And that's she did say here that it's not haunting, and it's not like that she's being haunted by her mother. But I do want to throw in here,
make sure she's okay.
Yeah. Right. And I want to throw some
question I get from people are like, somebody committed suicide, are they okay? Like are they stuck? Are they damned? Like, because we've got such a horrible cultural stigma for that.
Yeah.
Well, me being a little bit skeptical on some things, Cindy, I'd like to say to you is, and this is not being rude, but how do you know she's there? I mean, I would rather say, if it's a feeling, if it's something that you have here, and you think that she's still there, then tell her it's okay, that she can go. You're all right. You're going to be fine. And let her go. Because sometimes humans, as we are with emotions and how deep they run within us, we tend to hold on so tight that we don't want them to go. And we just have to say, you know what? It's okay, Mom. It's okay. Go and we'll see you soon enough. But, she was dying of cancer and could not take the pain, so she ended it early.
Yeah, that's
no harm, no foul in my opinion on that.
Exactly.
And she chose to do it because she didn't want to live with the pain.
She's hanging around because she just wants to look after people.
I do agree with you, Michelle.
Like, honestly. And the other reason that I always will make a recommendation for writing the letter is it's
I love that idea, by the way.
And good psychology. Like, if there's no actual spirit there, like, it helps you get out the emotions and things. Like, it helps you order how you feel and process it. Like, it gives you a sense of closure.
Right. And I'm gonna add to that. If you have anxiety, panic attacks and stuff like that, it is psychologically a helping tool. It's one of the things that you learn when you have that is that when you start to write your thoughts down, it helps calm you down. It helps take you out of that process. And to further that a little bit, with my knowledge, is that some of the first pagan sects, I would say, some of the first pagan people, they would write their thoughts, their prayers, their whatever they needed on a letter. They would write it to whoever, and they would burn it in a bowl and let it go up to the sky, to the universe. And to them, it helped them emotionally more than anything, to open up and say, here, universe, this is it right here. So
it's a really powerful, very simple tool.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to, Patrick Pankow, I'm going to get to yours in just a second. I want to come back over here. Where'd it go? I knew this was going to happen.
Hi, Genevieve. How are you?
Oh, Genevieve's here. Awesome.
Chanel is wanting us to bring up she's talking about different cards that you have.
Yes, that's where it is. Yep.
And your tarot cards.
Yep.
Please listen, I literally am surrounded right at the moment. On my table, because I've been lazy and haven't put them away. I have a few tarot decks next to me. I may have an addiction. I wish I could say that I have yours. Now I have to go and look them up.
Hey, I have an addiction too. It's called donuts. So,
That's a bad addiction. Mine is not a bad addiction, I feel.
Okay.
I have like several thousand books in this house. I can throw no stones about addictions for collecting things. Like
that's awesome.
I have so many books too.
We just started redesigning rooms to hold the books. Like it's a whole
I'm literally like, I know this is terrible. Like, but I am literally like, okay, I was looking at new desk options, and I'm like, well, I need to have more places and spaces for my books and my tarot decks and oracle decks. And I was like, I don't know if you need any more books or decks. And I'm like, we all need more decks.
All right, Michelle. So let's get to the question here. So she wanted to talk about your tarot cards, and
so I've got 3 decks. Like you can't help but like keep getting decks. I can't stop making them.
That's amazing. I wish I could.
I've got the Watcher Angel Tarot, which was kind of my bucket list thing. Is I started reading tarot when I was 14, and I've been doing it since then. And I wanted to design my own deck. And it is married with the myth of the Watcher Angels, which are these angels who didn't fall. They came down from heaven and kind of like married in among humanity, taught people magic and things. Like there's a whole sort of like witch blood myth tied in with them.
I missed it. What did you call? What was the name of your deck, though?
The Watcher Angel Tarot.
Ooh, Watcher Angel Tarot. I'm writing it down because I'm.
Oh no, it's
because I have an addiction.
Each of the major arcana are a different one of the named angels from that story. It ties back to the Book of Enoch. Their story ties in with the story of the Nephilim. There's a whole like fun bit of like mythology tied in there, and it sort of informs the mythos of that tarot deck. And then I also have psychic aptitude cards, which
that's great.
You know the Zener
awesome.
cards. The ones that are like, squiggly lines, square, whatever.
Yep.
Yes.
I suck at them. Suck terribly at them. Like they are a pain in my tuchus. Because like I'll be there and like people are like trying to read them and everything. And like I pick up images and emotions and everything. So if the person is hungry and it's lunchtime and they're staring there sending me square, I pick up ham sandwich. Like
right.
It's not wrong, but it's not the card. So I spent some time trying to figure out, like, how do I make a deck that accounts for the way that people actually transmit stuff and pick it up?
That's a great thing. Yes.
So they're round, and each one is a single color and an image and a word, and then all of the associations that go with that. So, like, the red is a rose, and it's just like this big fucking rose with red on it. And then part of learning how to work with that deck is before you do anything is just go through the red and the green and the black and the white and just write down, look at it, write down your associations. Like what emotions, what memories, what sorts of things do you associate with that? So you have like your internal lexicon.
Right.
So if somebody turns over the black card and suddenly you're thinking about that time you went stargazing with your grandfather, well, you're not wrong because the card is a starry night. And so you have a better idea of not just how to pick stuff up, but also like, are you only picking up emotions? Are you picking up the word?
That's important.
Like literally what the person is sending to you as an image? Do you get a scent or a taste? And you can get a better sense of like how your particular psychic abilities manifest.
I love that. I love that so much because that is more of the way that I teach psychic abilities, or I teach how to train yourself psychically.
Yeah, just listening to you, I'm like, yes, we are very much on a page with stuff.
It is. It's crazy because I can remember having my psychic development class here in my living room, and it's funny because I had my 2 sons here and a couple other children and adults as well. And we don't always think the same way, even though we're using little stones, even sending stones. They look at the stone, they think of the stone, they send the stone from one to the other, and the other doesn't necessarily go, oh, it's a pink rose quartz, right? They say, oh, this makes me feel like happy or love, and then somebody else is going, well, we didn't tell you what you feel, right? And so one of the things that when I am doing that, I do exactly that, which is, what do you sense, feel, see, hear?
That's the empathic side of it, which is amazing because that's the way it comes to me.
Yes, it's not always just, oh, I have this picture in my head, let's tell this.
Yeah,
I
mean,
love that.
The Zener cards are like more aimed for like almost like straight, pure telepathy,
Right.
which
Right.
isn't
Right.
how most people work at all. And
No.
even people who get like blips of telepathic stuff, like it's usually just not as neat as I have beamed a square into your head. Like it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you have to remember, I mean, Duke University was one of the first universities in the country to work with psychic abilities, and they started using stuff like that on a normal basis. I had the opportunity to visit there at one time and to see how that worked. And, you know, I remember, and I don't know if you guys do, but I remember you used to be able to go to like Toys R Us, and they used to sell these boxes for that to enhance your psychic ability.
I don't remember.
You know, and yeah, you were able to buy it.
In the 70s, there was this huge big uptick in all of this stuff, ESP and everything. Like it was a big deal. And then it kind of like the 80s got like satanic panicked, and then you couldn't. Like, all of that was bad. And then we kind of came back around to it with the ghost hunting. Hopefully,
It's funny how it goes.
It is. It really is.
And then the other deck, which I totally intended to just be like a journaling meditation prompt deck. They're called contemplation cards, but they ended up being also an oracle deck by accident.
I wouldn't say that. They were supposed to be that way, to be honest with you.
I mean, I didn't necessarily set, like that wasn't necessarily my intention. I shouldn't have been surprised. They are literally just a single word per card, like family, serenity, meditation, like different things to prompt you. The idea with the deck was, you know, either shuffle them and draw a card to kind of like think of what to focus on that day. Or like intentionally pick a thing that you're kind of doing path working with and pull that out. Well, as we started to play with it, once it came out, they are very, very direct oracle cards as well. So you can use them kind of as all of that above. And then I'm coming out with an extended deck for that one that is shadow work.
Ooh.
So they are like all of the like hard, like these ones that they're white lettering on black. So when you turn them over, you know
that's so crazy. That's exactly what I was saying.
You know you're going to be dealing with something harsh for this one, like addiction, like
interesting.
All of the things that like and so that
if I get that, I'm not giving up my addiction to tarot and oracle cards.
Oh no, it's more about, I mean, shadow work is more like, what does addiction mean to you? Like, how do you what's your relationship with this word? You know, how do you feel? What does it trigger in you?
Yes.
You know,
that's amazing, actually.
Yeah. So
because so many of us, I mean, just the word addiction, it literally like gets my anxiety up, right? Because it brings up so many things. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, but I have those where people around me would have these issues, right? And you're then now imagining like all of the things, the memories that have been triggered because of one damn word, addiction.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like the actual physical response that you'll get, that you'll hear, that you see, whatever it is, just from that little trigger of seeing, hearing a word. And dealing with it. So I think that's an amazing thing. That's a great way to go about shadow work, to be honest. It's amazing.
Thank you, Chanel, for bringing that up. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, so tell us the names of your decks again, so everybody knows them, right? And your new one to come.
Yeah. So there's the Watcher Angel Tarot deck, and everything's up on my website.
Perfect.
And then there's the Psychic Aptitude cards.
That's
and then
fantastic.
There's the Contemplation cards. And then we will be actually sending the Shadow Work deck for the Contemplation cards to the printer probably the end of this week. And
fantastic.
Yeah, depending on like, you know, how well they do. Like I think last year it took maybe 3 or 4 weeks to then have it in the shop.
Very good.
I have no
I'm so
idea
excited
what
to hear about that deck.
I mean, it's really fun. I've got a fantastic artist I work with Kat Rogers. She's also one of those students that is now turned into a teacher, like just a really good friend, like somebody like we bounce stuff off of one another. And she also has a degree in sequential graphic arts. and is a wizard with all of the stuff. My favorite thing that Kat does to just like kind of, Kat does energy body readings and like psychic readings at a distance for people, and then marries it to her art. So she draws what she's seeing in terms of like the way a person's energy flows and the shape and the color and everything. And you end up with this art out of it. It's one of the things that I've been working with.
That's
her.
like
amazing.
That's like an offspring of automatic writing, because that was something that I did a long time ago. I used to, like, I could talk with somebody on the phone, and I'd just start doodling, and I would draw what I was feeling from them. You know, so it's essentially, that's very cool. I really like that idea.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Cindy, we should make our own deck.
Yeah, seriously. It's so easy now. Like it's so easy with like print on demand and like all the different options. Like it's
cool.
Yeah.
Gives us something else to do, right? Not like we don't have All right, so guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all these questions. It's amazing, but we're backed up here, so we're getting to them as soon as we can. Please be patient. I got to go back over here to the watch party for Patrick Pankow. He says, how does one confront demons that have a strong influence on your life?
Oh, there's kind of two paths that you have to take, because what I will say is, in every single case where there was like actual demonic activity impacting a person, there was always a psychological aspect. Not to say that it was always all in their head. There was often, in the legitimate cases, there was psychological trauma. There was also a lot of paranormal stuff going on. Like, you kind of couldn't have one without the other. They were very, very deeply entangled. And having worked with people for that, like various psychic and metaphysical ways of protecting yourself, grounding, centering, shielding, like working up your boundaries and finding ways to like clear things out are necessary. But you can't have those boundaries and hold them comfortably if you also don't have good psychological boundaries. So the actual answer, and it sort of sucks, is you also have to deal with your shit. Like,
yes, you do, my friend. Like, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Like, and not just like whatever baggage you might have been carrying up until this, but there is inevitably trauma that comes from having these experiences. Like there is like deep emotional scarring from that. And you can't handle that by yourself. I know that a lot of people who are going through like intense paranormal experiences are very hesitant to then reach out to a therapist, because they don't want to be like just, locked up and put away. But you can navigate it where you are handling it on this end with folks that you trust to handle this end.
Yeah.
And you should seek someone who will give you a place to work out all of the emotional stuff and any depression and anything else that kind of comes from going through this experience.
Yes.
Always approach it from both.
I love that. Absolutely.
Yes.
You have to take care of both.
Right. That is awesome. I'm
a big proponent of going to talk to a therapist, a counselor, whomever it is. I mean, even if you're not dealing with paranormal stuff, just to be able to clear your head and have an outlet to speak and to talk about the things that are on your mind. Huge proponent for that counseling bit.
I got a funny little story here.
I have to tell you this too, because Robert is cracking me up in here. So if you see me giggle, Michelle, please forgive me, because they are goddamn funny in here. So let me just yes. Oh my gosh. So Cindy is sounding fun, ain't she? And then Barry says addiction to obsession. And then Robert says goes into song, goat's hearts be freeze tonight. I can't even with you, Robert. You're cracking me up.
Well, I just want to say here that I had a quick little story, and the reason I'm telling this is to segue into something else. But when Cindy and I went to Haldeman Mansion for the first time, she was fangirling over Mr. Michael King for the longest time. I mean, she was literally there was so much energy in that room. I was so excited. It was, and I'm telling you, I'm
This is
telling you.
actually fun for me because I loved Paranormal State and I thought Michelle was the bee's knees. So this is awesome. This is fun for me.
Okay.
To be able to, because I didn't have a lot of people that I could look to that were like me and could understand things that when they go places that they could pick up crazy shit that not everybody saw, felt, heard, understood. So it was cool to be able to see somebody that, oh my gosh, she goes to a place and does what I do.
Right,
so it was cool. It was super cool.
So
I'm excited about this.
The whole fangirling thing is awesome. I'm using that to segue into Chanel Fletcher because she is fangirling over
she's
Michelle
totally
like
fangirling.
crazy. She's even a patron of yours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I've got a Patreon, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Patreon.com.
She just sent it to me. She's like,
well, it's where when everything. I mean, I had the Patreon for a while where it was pretty much like get a book and kind of like contribute to books and stuff. But when everything happened with the pandemic, so in 2018, I bought a house. I mean, well, I already had a house, but we bought a house to run classes out of. I'd been looking for like just the right type of haunted place that was definitely haunted, definitely active, but not dangerous, in my opinion, that had like intelligent spirits that would interact, but were not things that would overwhelm someone. So I wanted basically a psychic Hogwarts.
That would be so fun.
And we found it. And it's like this 150-year-old home in Oberlin, Ohio. And we bought it and like started to run classes and have this stuff. I've got a cool display room with like all the memorabilia from Paranormal State and a bunch of other like various things that I've collected over my career as kind of a training ground. There's like some haunted dolls and whatnot. And then the pandemic happened. So like had all the classes going really well. And then we had to just switch everything over to online, and Patreon turned into like the best place of like, sign up here and you get access to all of the classes and all the stuff. You can kind of give me direction of like, what do you want to learn? And it's been fantastic because I gotta tell you, I know a lot of people think that folks on TV or people who write books make a lot of money. And I know that some people do. I am not those some people.
I am.
I am not those some people. And so,
we understand that though, right?
Yeah. Like where a lot of stuff is a labor of love. Okay, so full disclosure, Paranormal State, it was not until I think it's the second season that I worked with them that they paid me for anything beyond travel.
Wow, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, that was normal, was the thing. Like I'd done a bunch of work with different documentaries before that, and I was just happy that they were paying for my travel because I'd done a couple of stuff for History Channel and A&E that I had to pay all of it just for the privilege of talking on their freaking documentary.
We know that one.
Yeah, you know how it is. So the patrons have made it so that I can actually like just teach, like just do all this stuff without like worrying about awesome. And you know, like where it's like, okay, authors get, you get your royalties like every 6 months. There's no guarantee of like what any of that looks like. So you have to kind of like try to budget for this unknown amount of money for 6 months. And it's very, very weird stuff to try to navigate.
Yeah. I have written 2 books. So yes, you guys in the chat room, Ted has 2 books.
Ted has 2 books.
Which is an ongoing thing. But I have 2 books. The first one was about paranormal investigation that I wrote with a gentleman in the UK who worked for the Department of Defense, believe it or not. And so we got together and we actually traded as we were writing. We were just sending emails of, here's my part, here's your, and go through it. So it took us about a year to get it put together, which was pretty good time. Pretty good timing. And it was just the basics. And then he put his stuff in. But I'm a very old school paranormal investigator. So I use a lot of things that are, well, old school.
Yeah.
And so I don't use a lot of gadgetry, as I say. And then the second one was actually brought out. And it's called Think Outside the Paranormal Box. And the reason I wrote it was guys, you don't have to go spend all this damn money on this equipment. All you really have to do
yeah.
is take a flashlight with you, your recorder with you,
$2.
Comfortable shoes, and just go. And just, the stuff that's in the home, in your own house, you can actually make as tools and use. So, there's my plug for the day for my books. But I totally understand what you're talking about, because we don't get I'll get a summary like within 3 months, but after that, it's like the next 3 months I actually get the payment, and it's like, God, I thought I would have sold more by now, but and it's like you can't depend on it.
Together. It's very weirdly put together. I don't know how, especially
well, not.
Tell me what you did to your thumb.
I don't have. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just asking if you did something to your thumb. I see that you have something on your thumb.
Cat.
Oh, your cat?
She has 3 cats, right? 3 cats.
I got 3 cats, and I was playing with him, and he didn't want me to let go, and so I've got my goth Band-Aid on.
That's amazing. Well, the funny part is my cat doesn't ever go up to my face, and he just got me in my nose. I'm like, are you trying to pierce my nose already? I'm going to get it pierced, but I don't need your help.
No, this was
so it's funny. We both got
more my fault. We were like, most of my cats are fine with belly, but they'll get a little excited, and this was totally me pulling away too fast, and I was just like, well, got tagged.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh no, he was just being a dick to me. I literally I was just about to take a nap earlier, and I was laying on my couch, didn't even see him, and he came up and went push and got my nose. I'm like, you little brat.
Well, guys, we have to take a quick break, but before we do, I just want to say that Robin Kale and Patrick Pancup both said thank you so much for answering their questions. They put that in there. So we're going to take a real short Christmas. Ted is rushing it.
What? How are we getting Christmas here?
Who knows? Somebody planted it there. It's there.
So funny.
All right, guys. So we're going to take a real short break. It's about 3 minutes long, and then we'll be right back. All right. Hang tight, guys.
Cool.
WLFE-DB.com, where you can find vodcast shows, podcasts, and more. Check out WLFE-DB.com, where talk radio is a whole lot better. Our shows are your shows, and that there makes for a great talk radio.
Like and follow us on Facebook at WLFE DB Radio. Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
WLFE DB Radio. Now back to our program.
All right, everybody.
Me too.
Chewing on some potato chips. That's okay. I was watching Michelle back there dancing and doing stuff while the
Yep. Just.
Yeah, here, honey.
Yeah, I don't sit still very easily.
That's okay. That's all right. So real quick, I just want to kind of
I'm a
recap
dancer
here.
too. He's used to this.
There you go. So we're just going to recap. We were sitting here talking with Michelle Belanger, which she is an amazing individual. I love her to death. She has been a fantastic guest tonight. She's very like us. She's a lot like us, which is fantastic. I love it. And she knows her shit. But I want to get back to Karen put this up like at 8:17, so we're behind. She says, "Have you heard of a feather foot? It's when someone wraps hair around the foot so it binds it to you. I found myself undoing this for someone one day." That's a real old-fashioned pagan.
Like
yeah,
that sounds like conjure work.
Yeah.
I have not heard of that specifically, not with a feather, but like binding magic. Like you find that in folk magic, like right across the way. So. Yeah,
just be careful. Like that's all I'm going to say.
Conjure.
Just be careful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Steve Barry and Robert White. Oh my God, they're so funny.
Oh my gosh, yes, road cookies with Teddy, the good old days. Peanut butter cookies.
The good old days. Oh my God, I can't believe this is it.
They are called crack cookies.
They are called crack cookies.
Crack cookies.
They're soft peanut butter baked cookies, but they're huge. And they have peanut butter cups through them and on top. Oh my God, you can't eat one.
That sounds dangerous.
It's very dangerous. I literally, so our McDonald's once upon a time used to sell them. And I'm like, these are complete evil. They are called crack cookies. And all of a sudden you heard a roar of laughter because everybody started laughing so hard. And they're like, yes, these are definitely crack cookies. Yeah.
Steve, I'm gonna tell Michelle and Cindy this, and just because I think it's hilarious. But Steve Barry says that his little demon is named Evil Ed. He sits on my left shoulder. He's more fun.
You're so funny.
Hello, Jillian Thrillian. Hello for joining us.
Hi, Jillian. How are you?
Let's see. Question.
The Carters say, great, now I want one. No, you don't want one. Once you have one, you just keep thinking about them.
All right, so we're catching up. So we're at 8:30, basically. Bob Burnell says, question, why aren't there more investigations done towards angels? That's a good question.
I mean, if you're talking about television, it has a lot to do with what the production companies and the channels think sells.
Exactly.
Really the thing, and spookier the better. So something to understand, especially with paranormal reality TV, is, and this was a comeuppance for me with Paranormal State, as I assumed if you were the production company putting together a paranormal show, you would maybe believe in the paranormal. And not necessarily the case. The production company for Paranormal State was making paranormal TV because they thought, like because it was popular, they saw an opportunity.
Right.
So something to keep in mind is, especially in the earlier days, and you still see this with the jump scares and like the cut to the commercial break with the like everybody like freaking out. Yeah. It turns out to be nothing. A lot of the people, the production companies who are putting those together, are thinking of paranormal television in terms of horror television. It's not a matter of whether it's real or not, but it is a genre of horror. So paranormal TV has a lot of elements of horror, and they will bring that in there. So they want things that are scary, they want things that are edgy, they want things that are sensationalistic. One of the things that I've really liked about working for Jack Osborne's people and his show Portals to Hell is they're much well, first of all, Jack has enough weight to throw around in the industry that he can kind of get them to back off with stuff like that. So it's a lot more genuine. Like there are episodes of Portals to Hell where nothing really big happens. And that's okay. I mean, the production company, like especially the channels, are kind of like, but will people still watch if there's not things going like on every?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounded like what I heard at my parents' house when I was younger.
But you know what? I'm going to bring this up. Cindy, you and I both worked with Jason Haas and Steve and all those guys for Ghost Nation, and I'm going to bring this up again and say I like the fact that when they're doing their cases, they do take the time. They take every precaution. They dig as deep as they can, and they're not willing to sacrifice what's really there. You know what I mean? For a production company, if they're going to be out there doing this research, they really want it forward. You know, they want people to see and hear what's going on. We worked with them, and I'll tell you that it was fantastic. I mean, I love the way Jason approaches stuff and how he put it, and I commend the guy for what he does. I really do.
Yeah,
you know, and if you want to keep,
it was a lot harder. What I'm really hoping is Hellier, the Newkirk's little thing that is like really taken off.
Yeah,
breaks a lot of rules. Like really kind of breaks the thing out of like this isn't about jump scares. This is more about the quest.
I love that.
And I really like that. And it was one of the only ones where they were doing an Estes method, and one of the things communicating claimed to be Michael.
Oh.
So.
Wow. Interesting.
For possibly like exploring other avenues, other aspects of things. The other thing I really like about Hellier and the work that the Newkirks and their whole team are doing is kind of looking at the paranormal not just as ghosts, but also including like, okay, so cryptids, fairies, goblins, UFOs, like all of the
elementals.
All of it. Like what's going on there, and bringing in witchcraft and bringing in all the different approaches to it. So it's not just like 3 guys in black shirts chasing demons. Like,
right. See, this is why they turned mine down, because
and they have like cute smiles, and they have.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with black shirts.
I actually pitched something. I actually pitched something similar to that years ago, and I was told that they were already working on something like that. And it was basically because my thought was, you know, I'm kind of sick of the way the paranormal shows are going. I would like to see us broaden our minds with the paranormal instead of it just be ghost going on to the other things. So your research would be like a handful of people, would be, you know, like a psychiatrist as well as a anthropologist and archaeologist, or, you know, your paranormal investigator, your cryptozoologist. I mean, you would have a band of people to use, and demonologists. You would have a band of people to choose from for which case is happening. And that was my thought. That's where I wanted to go with it. But somebody else already had it. But,
I kind of want to see where we go.
I do too. I think it's
a deeper conversation.
I think that needs to happen.
Right, because especially after COVID, we saw that more people are trying to find their spiritual selves as opposed to being force-fed this stuff that they think we want to know or see. Well, now we want to see like more and understand more. We're thirsting for other things and out of the box, right?
Like you say, Cindy, things are changing. Things are changing. They are, you know, vibrations are rising. Things are happening right now. And, I'm
always telling you that, you know, quantum communication is coming and more people are tuning into it. And
it's amazing. Just to throw this out there, the amount of people that have kind of accepted who they are with the psychic ability and the magic and everything that's happening. It's kind of like the world is flipping back in time, you know, to where once before we had magic, we had that stuff before, and now it seems like it's bringing it back, and we have to raise to the next level to proceed to the next after that and the next after that. So, you know, it is happening a little by little. So I'm happy. I'm happy that it's happening.
I just had a song, little by little. I can't get the tune of it, but I can literally hear it in my head.
Cindy thinks in lyrics, so there are times she will spot out.
So I will just start singing. I'm sorry.
My wife calls it Jingle Brain. Because it is full of everything from I've been stuck on like the opening to Pippin, which was like the musical
Oh my
I was
God.
in 7th grade, but also like old Looney Tunes stuff and old like commercial. And the thing is it's a little harder to figure out, but occasionally I've found out that that's like I'll pick up what somebody else's earworm, like, and you pick it up and I'll start humming it and they'll stare.
Yes, I'll be doing. So I do Tarot Tuesday, and so my friends will be coming on. And my friends that come in and tune in and want to get a reading and stuff like that. And I'll literally just start singing a song out of nowhere, and it happens so many times. They're like, "Oh my God, this song is playing right now," or "I was just thinking of that song," all the time.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me.
So Steve Berry, I lost his original question.
Mm-hmm.
This one's from 825. He had put in a question, something to do with names of entities or different entities. I think he's asking, what are some of the common common ones, I guess. I mean, but he's also got in there Bigfoot, Snowman, Yeti. I'm not sure if I understand, Steve, but
I mean, the one thing I'll be clear about with the Dictionary of Demons is it's specifically narrowed to the proper name. Yeah. So like in all of the research, if these were identified as an evil spirit, as a demon, or a fallen angel, and the proper name associated with that. So, the usual big ones, Asmodeus, Belial, Belphegor, Beelzebub, yada, yada, yada. Most of which are just
Beelzebub,
old gods from other things.
It's the funniest name in the world.
Just means,
I'm glad that you just said that some of these are old gods that nobody knows and understands, and they just are put into this place in space of, oh, this is a demon. When no, this is somebody that used to be worshipped.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Astaroth. Astaroth, Astarte, like all of it.
Yes.
There's a really popular, it was like multiple editions in the 1800s, Colin de Plancy's basically Infernal Dictionary. And he's got like, all these pretty much like gods and goddesses, like Kali is in there, Persephone is in there, like things where you're just like, really?
What?
Dumb? Really?
You're dumb.
So
one of the ones that I think is huge and predominant that everybody will ask me, and I'm super curious about if you get it too. They're like, well, there's that goat god looking thing, that's Satan. And I'm like, you mean Baphomet?
Yeah.
I said, no. Baphomet is actually I said, I've worked with Baphomet. They're like, oh my God, so you're a Satanist. I go, no, absolutely not. I said, because Satanism is attached to Christianity, and I am a pagan, and I just am very eclectic. And when a god, goddess, or something in between comes to me, then I work with them because obviously they're seeing something. I said, but Baphomet is actually, I actually have them as a pagan god symbol, and it's not even a god, it's god and goddess, because they literally were teaching me duality about feminism and masculinity. So that was a huge test. I just got goosebumps all over my body.
Yeah, they're one of the few hermaphrodities that we haven't completely erased.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is your take? Have you heard a lot about Baphomet being demonized?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, pretty much like every upside down pentacle that you've seen that's got like the goat head and then the torch coming out of it is just Baphomet. And like that one is complicated because there's all of the stuff from the 19th century and the association with like Solvay Coagula and like the union of opposites
I have one word for that. It's called gray. Gray. It's right in the middle. Yeah, it's a gray area. It's right in the middle.
Yeah.
Now,
an interesting thing about like sort of the roots of like the tradition of this as a satanic or heretical deity is the Templars, or that is one of the beings that the Templars were accused of worshiping. And it was one of the things that like in that whole like Friday the 13th that ended the Templars, the argument was that they had turned to pagan gods and therefore, it was totally okay to take all of their money. It was really more about taking their money, really, frankly.
It always is.
Yeah, no, it totally, like King Philip wanted their money. They had a lot of it. They had a lot of power, and this was the easiest way to break it. But that connection to satanic work and the idea that it was blasphemous, heretical Christian stuff is, you can tie that straight back to the demonization of the Templars.
Exactly, and that's interesting.
Yeah, and you know what is weird, because not even 50, 60 years ago, Shiva was considered bad. I mean, there was so many different gods that were worshipped that people just took as like, oh, that's a demon. That's not good. And you know, it's sad. Hermaphrodites were considered demons. They were considered, I mean, but there is another question here by Karen Smith, and I'm not sure where this fits. It says, where does magnetic energy fit into this, as in triple circle? I'm not sure where this, I was looking above and I didn't see where it, was in there. So I'd like to know what this question is connected to. Yeah, I'm not either.
If they mean like the sort of like,
I don't know what the triple circle
magnetism
is.
From mesmerism, which really kind of like leads into a lot of our Western ideas of energy work.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things there. So
one of the hard things is like there's so much jargon. Like each different group, like the paranormal people have different words for things, and the energy workers and the light workers, and it depends on like the 50 different types of like witchcraft practitioners and who has what going. I got to tell you,
freaking Robert.
90% of my work as an educator in any of these is like trying to figure out who means what when they're using a word. Because demon's not the only one that's complicated like that.
Right. A lot of the gods are very complicated.
Yeah.
All right. So I love it. Chanel, still fangirling. Her Psychic App 2 cards are so amazing and easy to use.
Yes.
Steve Berry, here's a comment. He says, if you believe in angels, then demons must exist because of the balance. And
no, that's not true. I would have to decline. I would have to personally, because angels existed before Christianity and Catholicism ever existed. So
it really ends up being a question of which folklore you follow.
With mythology, which mythos. Yes.
I will argue, and there are very good Jewish scholars that will back me up on this, is the pantheon of angels. The angels in the Bible that we ended up, Raphael, Gabriel, all of them are almost certainly the pantheon of gods that existed and were worshipped by the ancient Israelites before they became monotheistic. And there's one book in the Bible where we see a remnant of that, and it is the book of Job, where Satan walks into basically the council of heaven, and God's there, but there's a whole bunch of other people there too. And they are all sitting in council in a way that is pretty much how any other pantheon of polytheistic pantheon represents all of the gods of Olympus, all of the gods, Anu and all of those people. Like it's a holdover. I'd mentioned like demons, kind of like you had to have all these different gods and goddesses that got demonized because you couldn't stamp them out. You either made them a saint or an angel, or you made them a demon, and it's more complicated. And now that's speaking from the side of being like a folklore, mythology, like the scholarship of it. Now, I don't want to get too much into because there's the theology too. Like there's what people believe, how they interface with those, and often those are two very different things.
Right.
If there are beings that you work with that you're like, the word I have for this is angel, work with that. There's nothing that I'm going to say that should dissuade you from working with that, and that's the word that you use. Like, I will honor that. But if we're talking purely the history, the folklore, the mythology, like it's much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so back with Karen Smith. This is more of a comment, I believe. It says, I love my magnetic royalty. When magnetic royalty is around, all my animals speak that language. It is a non-verbal one, but one all incarnate matters can comprehend, like a non-verbal telepathy, freaky and fun. So that's, I think, was where she was going with it. Awesome.
I haven't heard of it. Magnetic royalty?
the closest I've got is I was on this Norwegian show years ago, Den andre siden, and like the tops, it was sort of like psychic Oprah. It was really weird. I got flown out to Oslo.
That's cool.
And yeah, no, it was super cool. It was like 36 hours, like it was just whirlwind, but like the sort of the top psychic, because the princess of Norway stepped back from her position in line for the throne to basically found kind of her own thing. And it's this sort of spiritualist, a lot of angelology in her particular thing. And the main psychic for this show talked in language similar to that. There was a lot of dimensional stuff, a lot of things about vibration and magnetism. And like there was a little bit of a language hurdle as well, but in kind of figuring out like how she was reading my energy, this is sounding similar because I
understand it just in a I understand it in a different way, because I feel like there's I communicate with pets, I communicate or animals. I mean, not necessarily pets, but I guess when you have a conversation with them, or if you have a conversation with somebody that speaks another language, there is a knowledge where we just have an understanding of what they're saying, even though it wouldn't be necessarily a language we would understand.
Yeah,
so I don't know if that's what she's kind of meaning.
Yeah, magnetism goes like that's old school. That goes to like Mesmer, Franz Anton Mesmer, and like his animal magnetism and the sort of like the magnetism that he was basically doing energy work and energy healing. He just had different language for it.
Well, you got a good comment or a good. I'm out of it today.
Okay.
I'll just put it up here. This guest really is a great spokeswoman for the paranormal community. Logical, almost skeptical in thought, scientific.
Yeah, I'm kind of a skeptical psychic, which I know for some people is a weird thing. but in like the old school sense, like if you go to like straight up Greek philosopher idea of what a skeptic is you have to experience it before you make a decision on it. Like you observe, you keep your mind open, and then you make a point of gathering empirical evidence to go, what is my conclusion? You don't just take conclusions that are handed to you. And yeah, I fall very much on. There are some psychics in the community that are not very keen on me because I question everything. And
you should, though.
I mean, and the thing is, like, I also like the scholarly aspect of things. So, like, I kind of come at it from a bunch of different perspectives. And yes, I'm an experiencer. I have had some extraordinary experiences.
Right.
And unless those are repeatable or observable by somebody else, they're just my personal gnosis. They're not something that I can present as fact.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there because I know you don't. You've probably not watched our show before, but we are.
I'm sure you've heard of us before, though. Michelle. Come on.
Anyways, we're one of the shows that a whole network was based around, believe it or not. But we started out over 5 years ago, so we're a long running show. It hasn't been a short show whatsoever.
I can tell why. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
But we
love it much better when we can hug each other.
Yeah. Normally, because of the pandemic thing, it's been very hard. But we are the show that we're not the norm. We're the ones that other shows that are. I like to say this, and it's probably wrong of me, and I'm going to get more haters out of it. But most paranormal podcasts or vodcasts you watch are very boring, very blah. There's no entertainment value to it. To where we really push the envelope here. We want to be able to see and hear both sides of the story. We're very skeptical on what people tell us. Our guests,
and Cindy will yell at you if she doesn't believe it.
If we connect with you, then great. If things are awesome, then we're good with it. But there are just some times that when you are interviewing someone, you can't believe a damn word they say unless you come out and be a skeptic and start being a little more forward. Because
and I don't
sometimes they don't like that.
Like, I do not have a poker face and I do not have a filter. So, like...
I already warned her, Cindy, about you. I already warned her about you. And one of her first comments was like, I saw that it was rated R, so I can swear, right? And she was happy about it.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is
You can't stop my mom from.
see,
That's
we
really
get a lot though. I mean, we get other paranormal people that are ranked in certain levels that don't appreciate our show because of either my comments or Cindy's comments. And unfortunately, that's a part of being an interviewer. I mean, we like to get to places that
we have to play devil's advocate.
Well, see, to me, it's paranormal investigation. That means you are on a quest. You're asking questions. You're not just like going a priori, this is what I believe, and I'm going to project those beliefs on all of my experiences. You should be open to, it's okay to believe and have your own beliefs, but you should be open to revising those based on what you experience. And absolutely, you should be open to having things questioned.
Yeah. I mean, whether you're a journalist or, a interviewer like we are with our own show, you've got to take it. I mean, if people watch a show because they want to know more, then the guest has to be willing to give as much as they've got. I mean, they really do.
Song playing in my head now. Take it to the limit.
Kind of treading that is why I'm doing like from the scholarly aspect of the Dictionary of Demons, I can talk about this because these are things that I can cite.
You're
and
awesome.
I can point you at actual stuff. And here's what I've experienced, and I'm not going to present that as fact because I have no way to back. Like there's just some stuff that happened.
But a lot of people that follow us understand. They know how we are now after 5 years and what we can prove and what we can't prove. So they're very good with certain things like that. But I can tell you that we love you to death. You fit with us. You're an amazing person. We just love you. And our guests think the same thing because Jerry Martz is saying, I know it is early yet, but I think Michelle should be brought back on the show. She has a wealth of great knowledge.
Yeah, you can totally Iron Chef me for an interview too. Like pick a topic and throw it at me and let's see what happens because
that would be so fun.
Let's talk fairies. Let's talk elementals. Let's talk high ritual and
Steve says I third that motion.
Yes.
He says Michelle rocks.
Yes. So they are very well aware that we are very skeptical in thought, first of all. And yes, so there are things like I have certain beliefs because spirit tells me certain things and I then say them outwardly and people do not necessarily believe them. And that's okay because it's just my thoughts. However, Teddy,
stop.
I'm curious.
I'm
Michelle.
emotional. I am an empath.
Cryptids around here. Bigfoot is a big one.
Whatever.
What is your thought on cryptids? Do you think they can have alien contact with them? What do you think? How do you think they get around? I'm just curious of your thought. Teddy.
I hate you, Cindy.
I mean, what I really think is I'm not quite sure what to think based on the evidence and the various studies over time. There's some interesting argument that these are some sort of trans-dimensional thing that are occasionally physical and moving in and out. I can see the argument there. And at the same time, we live in a world that although we think of it as conquered, that we've kind of figured out everything going on, we are discovering new species every freaking day.
Exactly. She's in the middle. She's in the middle. I'll take it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally in the middle of I haven't been convinced either way. And I see the validity to both arguments. Right. And since I've not been that's not been a field that I've really dug into, I'm could be this, could be that. I don't actually know. I'm open to let's see more proof in either direction.
Exactly.
And honestly, it could be why not both? Are there instances where there's definitely a thing going on here? And are we maybe having some experiences with stuff that somebody goes, well, it's big, it's really tall, and I saw it in the woods, so therefore it must be Bigfoot. And it might not be the same thing that most everybody else is chasing in terms of an actual physical being. So who knows? Right.
I think it's interesting because that is exactly where this quandary lies within us. And I have so much that they're interdimensional beings and they have access to portals and stuff like that. And with this past month of alien stuff,
I can't see you.
the alien people tend to stick with me on the thought that there is alien.
Yes, we have a running tally, and Cindy is winning. Okay,
I'm winning.
I mean, do you want that said? It's being said.
I mean,
Okay?
you're both old enough. I bet you, like me, you watched Bigfoot and Wild Boy growing up.
Oh my God, yes!
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes! I loved it. It was one of my favorites. I can't believe you said that. I love that.
No, I remember like riding the school bus, like going past woods, going like, do I see him?
Yeah. Well, it's you either did that or you were going by the cornfields and going, oh my God, are there
Children of the Corn?
Yes, is Malachi out there?
So there's something interesting going on in the chat room. I'm not 100% what it is, but I'm going to kind of. I know, me too. I mean, we've got so many into here. So Robert White, he's talking about ghost music as a thing too. When we first moved into a rental house in Belanger in far north Queensland, we did not have a radio or any music players. Nearest neighbor was hundreds of meters away, and I could hear the 20s jazz music from the 1920s when I was trying to sleep.
That's amazing. Wait, did you guys have jazz over there?
Now wait a minute. Look at Steve Barry's. Yeah. Look at Steve Barry's.
Heard a pan flute out in the middle of the woods. No explanation. I have investigated where auditory stuff is definitely things that people are experiencing. I've experienced it in a couple of places myself. And yeah, that's totally a thing. There was a house up in Michigan that I got called in to investigate, and their dining room, it was, again, like old house, probably built at the late 1800s, and you could just constantly hear like a dinner party going on in the dining room. So like not just like the murmur of voices, the clank of plates, like it was just like, on loop. It was weird. Like I was like, okay. Because she's like, well, I hear people talking in the dining room. And I'm like, okay, well, it could be a lot of things. Let's figure it out. It's like,
come to my house.
You can't. I was just going to say that. So I've been upstairs, just in the middle of the night, all of a sudden woken up by music. My boys were younger, sleeping. And I thought they were goofing around and had gone downstairs and turned the TVs on or something. And I went there sleeping soundly, but I'm in my hallway going back to my bedroom, and I can hear music and conversations in my first level area. And let me tell you, it's a little disconcerting sometimes at 3:00 in the morning.
My best and very personal spectral music story is I'm married to Illyria Little. Her mother. Her grandmother was the Jewish scientist who discovered proof for dark matter, Vera Rubin. So she comes from this long line of scientists.
That's amazing.
Her mother was also an astronomer, passed away. So I was raised Catholic. She was raised Jewish. We were downstairs in the bedroom, and I woke up to a very clear song being sung to me a cappella. And it was a song that I hadn't heard
all over my body.
Yeah, like very, very clear and like just repeated over and over again. And the next day I was like, okay, I think this was your mom. And I started humming it, and it is a Jewish melody that they would sing together. Sim shalom. So, yeah, and it just.
Oh my God!
I was like, well, mom approves of me, eh?
It's so beautiful. I literally, my cheeks have goosebumps right now.
It was
very,
very intense, very clear.
Just, that's awesome.
Yeah, a very cool sharing, because music is something that we all have in common as well.
I agree.
Right. It's a pathway to a lot of things for especially in the spiritual community. But I want to say this, like, this is my story. Since you two have told your story, damn it, here's my story.
Yeah,
So Cindy knows that I live in a home that was a military home. Actually, it was two military homes that was put together. And the gentleman,
right.
Yeah. So the people, so the man that brought this home here, placed it here, and put it together, he passed here. But I will be sleeping, and this is just one little story. But I will be sleeping, and you know how when you're sleeping, you can feel somebody right there, and you know they're staying there, but you don't want to open your eyes. And all of a sudden, I go to open my eyes, and there's a conversation of 20 people going on in my room. And this is like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So people go, why do you get to bed so late? Because I don't get to bed till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, live in my home, because there are times where they will not let me sleep. I mean, I told Cindy, they will knock on my door and run away.
Yes.
Like my living room to my bedroom door, they will be in the living room, bang on the door, and run away. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I have to tell them, guys, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Calm down. We'll do this tomorrow. I've had them kick my bed while I was sleeping just to wake me up. I've had, Cindy, the
Teddy,
big one lately.
We were on the phone. You were lying in your bed, and we were on the phone together. And I'm like, what the hell was that? He's like, you heard that? I said,
which is always great validation, though, where you're just like, nope, this is not just in my head.
Right.
Yeah. I've woken up to so many different things. God, I was telling her that I even thought I was being abducted by an alien at one time, because I felt like I was floating above the bed, and there was all this stuff going on, and I'm just like, what the hell? But, ultimately, they're just, it's kind of like they're just getting my attention, and normally they're fine.
Eric says there's a frequency that is in the realm of ham radio signals that is naturally produced on these pyramids in Russia.
Wow.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Eric, send me some information on that. I'd love to.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I love all the weird.
Yeah, me too. So this is weird too. But funny. He says, I'm surprised the game Final Fantasy VII that has Baphomet.
Yeah, seriously.
My God. And so other deities and beasts to be called, targeted by the theologians. Because it
was a game and anime, it just flew right under their radar.
Yeah. So that was the answer thing about the flute.
The pan flute, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. They're all playing now.
So Kelvin says he liked Michelle on Portals to Hell.
Oh, nice.
Hello, Kelvin. Especially if it's the Kelvin that I know, who's just the biggest sweetheart.
Kelvin Golden Jr.
Probably not the one that I know, but hello, Kelvin, because you're probably also a sweetheart.
Yes. We love Kelvin around these parts. He's a good supporter of ours. Cindy and Ted, I really enjoyed the show. Very nice listening to Michelle, and thank you for addressing my question, he said.
I must be back behind that, but Eric also put in here, makes me wonder if, I think this goes back to the ham radio signal. He says, makes me wonder if it was a time of lost time that maybe the deities might have been getting a little too close to the humans. I'm guessing that's, I don't know. I'm guessing that's a part of it, because I'm so far behind here. Cindy's ahead of me.
all the chatter. I mean, it's a good interview when there's just all the
oh my God, it's just all over the place.
It is. It's amazing.
Different people are like, wait, this reminds me of this thing, and how about that?
Oh yeah, it's all over. And Karen Smith comes back to her magnetic energy does not move in a straight line.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's sounding more like Chinese geomancy, because the reason the pagodas have the swoops,
right?
And the reason doors have a little thing is the idea is that stuff runs in a straight current, and if you want to push it away, you either swoop it or you give it something to run up against, it kind of breaks up the stream. And we may have a cat in a moment, since Melissa decided that I've been talking at the strange boxes for long enough that she must investigate.
That's great. We're good.
I'm just going to call her to us. Steve Berry, he said, Cindy, I love you, but skeptic. Yes, I am a skeptic. Teddy, am I not a skeptic?
Yeah, she is.
I don't just believe hokey bullshit. I don't just believe things because people say it. The funny part is I use more of my senses than most people. So if I am picking up something that I don't feel is right, I listen to more things than just somebody speaking or what I'm reading or whatever. But yes, my true nature is a skeptic, and I want scientific proof. Yes, that is definitely me.
Yes,
Steve, you don't know me at all.
Did you see this? But Lucia Ball received radio and a filling. Prove it.
there are a number of reports of like different people with like plates in their head and stuff and like
Yes.
vibrating just the right way.
I remember hearing that about fillings and stuff too back
Well,
in
and
the
then
day.
there's of course tinnitus, which can be like debilitating, and like it's important to like be able to like, this is just tinnitus, like this is a physiological thing, and kind of like figuring out what the range of your tinnitus is, and then this is not, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Okay, so pyramids are part of that's. I think that's what she's saying is part of the electrical field that are causing issues. We are going back to magnetic only energy to comply with a full universe ascension. That I'm not sure about.
I know that we are all, so the energy,
ascension is,
we are all trying to, our vibrations are trying to rise right now. So yes, I do understand some of how she's explaining it. We are all energy. We are just all trying to raise up to this much higher vibration. So when we are all at this higher vibration, and we can all understand things at a much deeper level than we know now.
Sorry. There was if my cat gives it the thumbs up, then I'm not
thumbs up
scared.
that I'm not screwed. Yeah,
I agree on that. Like if the pets are reacting to something in a way that they're not afraid, it's like, okay, that's fine. But then Steve, being the joker that he is like, your cat has thumbs. Although if you've seen the mitten kittens, there are definitely some cats that have thumbs. Oh, and then there's cats. Amy Bruni has one where it's like he's basically like got 2 paws on each of his front paws. Like he's got like 18 toes. It's a little.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Believe it or not, some of like my mother being old school and some of her beliefs is that a cat with many extra claws and paws are closer to the spiritual world than the normal cat. Someone we have not heard from in a long time, Miss Cindy, Miss Kitty. Someone we haven't heard from in a long time. Kitty, Janice is on here.
Hi,
Kitty's on here with us.
You?
She says, I love how we can work with angel energy without referring to them in a religious context. Mm-hmm. I was curious about the segue of elementals onto something else. Can an elemental evolve into a darker, more powerful entity? Could it be a matter of self-awareness and consciousness? And hello, James Schruel. Hello, we haven't seen you in a while either.
James, how are you?
Got them all coming out.
Also.
All right, so you go for it, Michelle.
I mean, my first answer is for almost everything is going to always be, it depends on what we mean by that word. Because so many, like so much of it is jargon and lingo. I mean, we can see it with Karen, where like she's talking about magnetic energies, and we're trying to translate into things that are more familiar. We know that we're talking about similar things. So an elemental, the funny thing is in like where I first learned about elementals, they were specifically spiritual expressions of the actual elements. So like sylphs and undines and gnomes and all of that stuff. Like that's where I first ran across that word. And then I started to see it used in the paranormal community to kind of broadly reference a nature spirit, an entity that is non-human, that is intelligent, that is tied to either a land or a feature on the land, which some people seem to approach as if they're evil, which has always confused me, because the land is wild, but it's not good or evil. Like it may be angry, and it may be in pain, and it may have been just full up about people's shit, but it's not necessarily evil. So I think some of it comes down to, are we talking about a place spirit? Are we talking about something that is like big enough that it's sort of like, because there's spirits that are almost like the spirit of a city or the spirit of like a whole region that you can engage with. And then there's individual things active within there that sometimes I will kind of lean back on my Irish heritage and call them fairies, because what else do you call, tiny little things that are off in the woods doing weird stuff? Can an elemental change or evolve? I mean, why not? I mean, I think everything can change and evolve.
Right.
Can it become more powerful? Certainly. Again, why not? I don't know if that means that it's going to become meaner or
dark. I don't think that means it's going to be darker. Yeah.
I mean, could circumstances happen such that we would interpret it as dark, The land is getting poisoned. There's something on the land, like humans are interfacing with it in a way that is like wounding it, and it begins to lash out. That I can definitely see.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that your cat?
Yeah.
That baby is trying to talk to us.
That's an unusual sound for her.
Well, I was going to put in here to this that, a lot of the, with my mom being Seneca Indian, a lot of the indigenous stories are that elementals are the small creatures of the woods and of the land. Most of them were there to help nature grow, to help nature stay balanced. There was a lot of things like that. There was also protectors of certain special places or spiritual places. And I am with you. I believe that and everything evolves in one way or another when it comes to life, as if it has a soul, if it has a life, a meaning, or something like that. I think that yes, it definitely could evolve and gain intelligence and so on and so forth. Hey, humans are one of the worst animals on the planet, and we are trying to evolve every single minute of the day. And we destroy sometimes more than what we grow and what we build. So my thought is I'm going to sit back here and say yes, I believe that they can, and I believe that they are a part of the balance that we need. So I hope that helps. I mean, that's my belief, anyways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, no, I think it's useful to think of spirits as an ecosystem where there are many different types.
Yeah.
And they interact with one another, and in the same way that nature is kind of red in tooth and claw, like a wolf is not necessarily evil because it hunts things.
Right.
There are some things that are going to come across as much more predatory or aggressive, and they're not evil per se, but they are not something that you necessarily want in your space.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just their nature too. I mean,
I love that you just put that way, because I just saw on Facebook there was and it was an old post that I was looking at of somebody's, and it was talking about coyotes, and there was this officer that was looking after these two little coyotes because its mother had been scared off, but because they were so young, they had stayed there, and there were people watching. So the officer was there just to protect both, right? And it was funny because he was saying, look, this is beautiful. As much as we look at them as predatory things or encroaching on humans, this is the thing, is we need the coyote. They are our rodent killer. They are the one that there's a huge resource that we have them for. And if we get rid of that resource, then we may have an overgrowth of rodents or whatever else. And I just thought it was so interesting and beautiful, like the way that expressing that of, we need this. It's not good or bad. It's not evil or angelic, right? It's this balance that we have in nature that we have to have, that everybody serves a purpose. Everything serves a purpose in this circle of life. And I just thought it was interesting that the way you just explained that, it was exactly how I understood that.
And I can take this to another level a little bit, because you have something you said, Cindy, kind of resonated with me because of my belief and where I came from. It's like humans have been encroaching on them for a long. What?
You said where I came from. I said your mother's vagina. I'm so confused.
Oh my God! No, meaning
derail that thought, right?
I know just ADD. All I know is that we as humans, we have gobbled up everything, and we are taking their land away from them. We are taking so much from everything that lived here. That's why so many animals are gone. And we have to remember that if we start taking away everything that we are selfishly trying to do, the balance is going to be tipped, and things aren't going to be the way it's supposed to be.
Correct.
And unfortunately, people, there has to be a balance. And that's why certain things in our life, like negativity, like a lot of you people are talking about all the time in our comment rooms, negativity is there because there is no balance. We're not shifting things to the way they need to be. And we as humans, we're selfish, we're cruel, we're all this stuff, and we place a lot of
They're also
negativity.
beautiful,
built.
though.
They are, but I'm just saying that the balance is needed. Okay,
We could be better caretakers. We
Right,
could be a little bit
absolutely.
more mindful
Yes.
about everything else around it, and about one another, honestly. Like some of the hauntings that I've had to investigate, that people who were experiencing them were certain were evil, ended up being things that were lashing out because they were threatened, because they lost their space. Like there were ways to come up to a compromise, but we would never have accomplished the compromise if I hadn't worked as a mediator to go, okay, here's what the living people need, here's what you want, what can we actually accomplish in this space, without just like, because it's not feasible to just like knock people's houses down simply because it was built on the land that you have inhabited as an elemental for like the past 1,000 years. Like it's just not going to happen. So how do we work together? How do we honor one another?
And we opened a Pandora's box with this because the questions are like huge right now, and we've only got like 4 minutes. A little less than 4 minutes.
At which point we're like, and part 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Barry said that he had another question for Michelle way at the top of the chat room concerning Psychic Bloodhound in relating to Michelle here. But I'm curious, Barry, what it was that you had said, because I can't go back to see what it was. However, so if you could let me know really quick, and maybe we can address it really quick.
Yeah, because I have questions over here too that
Michelle,
what is your view on voodoo curses?
Voodoo's a religion that isn't necessarily a bad thing. And curses are actually not nearly as common as the media portrays them.
Correct.
In that particular system. What I will say is there is a scam that is as old as time, where someone pretending or posing as a psychic or an energy worker or a witch will do a reading for you and tell you that you have a curse, you have been hexed, and they will make up wherever that comes from, and they will give you a reason that why they are perfect for fixing this for you. They will scare the pants off of you and tell you like everything that you've been suffering and all this stuff that you came to them about. It's because you've got a demon, you've been cursed, you've been hexed, whatever. And they would fix this out of the goodness of their heart, but it's very expensive for the materials. And I personally know people who have paid thousands of dollars to this scam. So please. If you are being told that you are cursed or hexed, allow your bullshit meter to come front and center.
Exactly.
Step back from the person who's telling you that. Analyze for yourself. Do some research on what they're claiming.
Yes, and
do not take their word for it.
Exactly.
Take your instinct for it, please.
I tell them, do you feel as though you've been hexed or cursed?
And not the like, oh, well, I have had bad luck this week. No. That's
not what we're talking about.
It's just, and who would put the kind of work into that? Like, there's a lot.
There is a lot, because then they'd also be getting that shit back to them. So
yeah, no, there's a huge risk. People do not just sort of like throw curses out willy-nilly. It's not.
Right.
Question that. Like if you want to be skeptical about anything in your life, that is the thing to be skeptical about.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with you 100%.
Wow, we're not going to get to all these questions. I am so sorry, guys.
Oh no, it's okay. Psychic Bloodhound is pretty much like how I think psychics are best used on paranormal investigations. Don't tell them anything about anything. Blindfold them, turn them around, throw them at it, and wherever they point for stuff, follow that up and do additional investigation to verify, confirm, or use it as a guide to where the activity might be.
And we've talked about that here, guys, because I call those arrows. It's like when I have Cindy come to an investigation, she wants to know nothing. She comes in fully like no information whatsoever, and I basically let her point an arrow for me to where I should be thinking or considering on going with things. And that's basically the same thing.
Drawn. Yeah, right, Teddy? I mean, there have been many times where I'm just like, okay, Teddy, can we just go this way? Yeah. You're like, yep, just go. I'm like, okay, I need to go this way.
All right, guys, I am so sorry we're
We're-
not getting to all your questions. I mean,
We
this
love
is
you guys. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
we-
for all of your interaction with Michelle. We love you guys so much, and you guys know that. So
and thank
I
you.
definitely would love for you to come back on, Michelle.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, there's just so much here blowing up, and
yeah,
Fun
I can't
conversation.
even get to them.
yes, it is.
There is so
I
many.
love the idea that you said, just throwing thoughts, because it would be great just to have a topic where we can just throw a topic up and have what everybody thinks. I think that's a great idea, right?
Yeah,
It's fun.
there is just so much here that I can't even get to. I mean, we were behind there for like an hour on some of these, so it's crazy.
But it's amazing
So-
because we're having I love when we can put something in and everybody's brains just start firing. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, but what
But
about this? And it just
But
means
that's
that
what
we
this
are
is
making
about. I mean, that's what this is about. And that's why we're here. An awesome night tonight. Michelle has to get back on this show again soon.
Yes.
Rob and Joan Carter, who are paranormal investigators too. They're like, great show. So I mean, guys, and Michelle, please, thank you so much for being a part of this. We love you. You are awesome.
This is fantastic.
Awesome.
And I love it when it's just a great conversation among people who we don't have to agree on everything, but we are willing to talk about it and just like toss out ideas and see what happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So real quick, you guys know how we end the show, but I am going to put this out there for you now because you're going to start seeing the commercials on WLFE more frequently. Rochester Winter Parafest is coming back because pandemic hopefully will be gone by next March. We are looking at the 24th, 5th or something like that in March. The weather should be nice here and we're going to be in Geneseo, New York, which is about 25-30 minutes south of Rochester. We have a huge place with 3 nice sized rooms. There will be just so much going on. We have so many great people coming back for this. They are so excited about it, and so am I. So please stay tuned for that information and join us. Cindy, real quick, what do you got going on this week so we can get off of here?
Tarot Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
I mean, taco and tarot, why not?
Yeah, well, that's what I call it.
That he literally calls it Taco Tuesday, so I was teasing him a little bit. It's Tarot Tuesday on Psychic Cindy and The Psychic Cindy on YouTube. So I will be doing that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be live anymore on Facebook because of all the problems I'm having with spammers, poachers, cherry pickers, whatever you want.
No, like those have kicked up in the past couple of weeks. And like,
it's terrible. It's so terrible. Like if you go live, like especially if it's a tarot or a psychic thing, it's horrible. It is so horrible. And so
I'm the darkness.
Yeah,
well, they know our ending. They know our ending, so they're waiting for it. Yep,
they're waiting for it. Yeah, and so then Tuesday, Tarot Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Just Cindy podcast on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Look at this.
I know.
Remarks. Get Michelle to the Rochester Winter Parafest. Not too far from Cleveland.
The only thing I will say is I'm holding off committing to anything until all the vaccine stuff gets like all sorted out, like
I agree.
TV stuff, where I'm just like, I just need to make sure everybody's safe.
I agree.
Included.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm going for my second shot on Friday. So, and then I'll be good. My whole family, my mom, I'm a caregiver for my parents, Michelle.
Very
so that's, I had to worry about all that stuff. So
it's hard for me.
Been there. Yeah.
I'm allergic to so many antibiotics that I don't know. I don't know about the vaccine at this moment. It's terrifying for me.
I have a screwy response to a lot of things. I've got debilitating medical PTSD, and I need to make sure that that's a thing that happens. Even though I'm just like, well, probably gonna suck, but gonna do it.
Yeah. No, we want people to be safe. We want them to feel safe to come to the event. If you don't mind, though, Michelle, we will send you the information if you're ever interested. It is a fundraiser for our local veterans. We don't take any money for anything, so we don't pay people to come. Just so you know, and everybody comes and volunteers their time. That would be great. Trent. Last year or 2 years ago, guys, when he was dancing with the witches, it was amazing. The video is still out there. Trent is from Naked and Afraid, the Naked and Afraid TV show. He came and he had a blast. Come and visit Buddy the Bigfoot. He's going to be there again. A lot of different things. And Cindy, you're all done with everything you got going on then? You already said everything? Okay.
Yep, I don't really have too much else going on this week.
Well,
other
just
than readings. I do individual readings, so you guys can contact me for that.
Well, just so you know, Cindy, this is just between you and I. I love you.
I love you, poo-poo. I call him my teddy poo-poo.
Yep. And Thursday night, I'm rehearsing with the band again. So, yes. So we are coming out of retirement, I guess. The guys want to go East Coast again, and so we're gonna tour again. So that would be really fun to do as well. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You know how this ends.
I told you I saw it coming, though, Teddy.
Yeah, I know. All right. So again, thank you, Michelle, for being a part of this. We will stay in touch with you, and we will send you the information. Thank you so much. Everybody else, please have a fantastic week. Please take care of everybody around you. Get your shots. Be safe. Wear a mask. Do everything you're supposed to do. You know how it goes. Okay. So, Cindy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Wherever there is darkness, there is always
the light.
The light.
Thank you for listening to Paratalk Radio with Ted Wolf and Psychic Cindy. Catch us next Monday for another fantastic guest. Please check out our show as well as others on the WLFE DB Radio Network. And remember, like, follow, and share with everyone.
Join us at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.